To pure devotees, therefore, liberation and spiritual emancipation are not very important things. In this connection, in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 25, verse 36, Kapila Deva has advised his mother, Devahuti, as follows. My dear mother, my pure devotees are charmed by seeing my different forms. The beauty of my face, the structure of my body are so enchanting. My laughing, my pastimes, and my glance appear to them so beautiful that their minds are always absorbed in thoughts of me, and their lives are dedicated fully unto me. Although such people do not desire any kind of liberation or any kind of material happiness, still I give them a place among my associates in the supreme abode. This evidence from Srimad Bhagavatam gives assurance to the pure devotee of being elevated to association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srila Rupa Goswami remarks in this connection that one who is actually attracted by the beauty of the lotus feet of Śrī Kṛṣṇa or his service, and whose heart by such attraction is always full with transcendental bliss, will naturally never aspire after the liberation which is so valuable to the impersonalists. A similar passage is also there in the third canto, fourth chapter, verse 15 of the same book, wherein Uddhava addresses Lord Krishna and says, My dear Lord, for persons who are engaged in your transcendental loving service, there is nothing worth obtaining from religiousness, economic development, sense gratification, or liberation, although happiness from these different sources can be very easily had by them. In spite of such facilities, my dear Lord, I do not aspire to achieve any such results. My only prayer is that I may have unflinching faith and devotion unto your lotus feet. A similar passage appears in the third canto, 25th chapter, verse 34, wherein Kapila Deva instructs his mother and says, My dear mother, devotees whose hearts are always filled in the service of my lotus feet, and who are prepared to do anything for my satisfaction, especially those fortunate devotees who assemble together to understand my qualities, pastimes, and form, and thus glorify me congregationally, and derive transcendental pleasure therefrom, never desire to become one with me. And what to speak of becoming one with me, if they are offered a post like mine in my abode, or opulence like mine, or even personal association with me with similar bodily features, they refuse to accept, because they are satisfied simply by being engaged in my devotional service. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 9th chapter, verse 10, King Dhruva says, My dear Lord, the transcendental pleasure derived by meditation upon your lotus feet, which is enjoyed by the pure devotees, cannot be approached by the transcendental pleasure derived by the impersonalists through self-realization. So how can the fruitive workers, who at most can aspire to promotion to the higher heavenly planets, understand you? And how can they be described as enjoying a happiness similar to the devotees' happiness? So that's the end of the chapter. But I want to comment here that these verses are very wonderful because they express the position of the devotee. Srila Prabhupada often said that if one has $1 million, all his $5 problems are solved. If you have $1 million, then you're not going to go to your friend and say, hey, can I borrow $5? You have $1 million, then automatically all your $5 problems are solved. So similarly, if one has pure, loving, devotional service to Krishna, then material opulence, wealth, fame, beauty, power, renunciation, all these material opulences, even up to liberation and the bliss derived from transcendental oneness with the Supreme. All these things appear very insignificant. In fact, there's a nice verse in the 10th canto that says, by the transcendental Vedas, the Vedas are praying to Lord Krishna while he's in the womb. And they say that all these material opulences are nothing but the water in the hoof print of a calf compared to the ocean of material enjoyment experienced by the devotees. So the pure devotees who have no desire for these material things, if they happen to need them for their service, they can get them very easily. After all, Krishna is the source of all these things. The point is, they get Krishna. And Krishna is the source of the highest spiritual bliss. Krishna is the source of prema. And so when one experiences prema, even one time, he says, oh, there's nothing better than this. Even if he has all these other things like material opulence or power or position or fame, he doesn't care for them anymore. Just like Bilvamangala Thakur says that, I think liberation is standing at my door with folded hands, ready to serve me. But I don't want this liberation. I don't care for this liberation. Liberation is for people who are less intelligent because they want something for themselves. And wanting something for yourself and even getting it is not as nice, it's not as pleasant, it's not as pleasing, or is not as such a source of happiness as giving love to others. Try to understand. In the material consciousness, we think, oh, it's very nice if somebody would love me. If somebody would serve me. Oh, yes, this is very nice. This is pleasure. But actually, as soon as we accept service from others, then we become indebted. We become obligated. We become karmically linked, karmically attached to that person. And in the future, we have to pay back that karmic debt. So, in this way, our freedom is constricted. We don't anymore have the freedom to do whatever we like. Or even if we try to escape that debt, still somehow or other in the future, we're going to have to pay it. And also, this means that we become a debtor. We owe something. You see, if I go to the bank and I borrow a certain amount of money, now I'm indebted. I'm no longer free. I have some obligation I have to meet. I become entangled. You see? I'm less free. So in the same way, if we accept service, if we accept love, if we accept so many things, we become indebted to the source. You see? And also consider that a poor man is always begging. If you have ever traveled in a third world country, you know that wherever you go, you're going to find beggars. And so they seem to really like travelers. You'll get off the train and they'll be all around you. 50 beggars. And some of them are truly pathetic. But what can you do? If you give something to one, then you have to give to all. So it's very difficult, it's a heart-rending situation. But why should you become a beggar? Why should you voluntarily, why would you voluntarily want to become a beggar, needy? Why? You're an eternal spirit soul. Nothing can harm you. Nothing can affect you. Well, why should you become obligated? Why should you become a beggar? This is not our constitutional position. Just like many times I give the example of a very rich man like Bill Gates. What does he do when he becomes the world's wealthiest man? He doesn't have to work anymore. All that anxiety for material needs is finished. So what does he do? He begins to give in charity. You see? So we are wealthy. We're all wealthy. We're all unlimitedly wealthy for all eternity. Huh? Because we're created that way. That's our constitutional nature. So if we actually realize the meaning of the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that we're all spirit souls, huh?